Today, I'm going over the top 8 Seattle suburbs that people are actually leaving. People are moving away from. Now, a few of these are really gonna surprise you, so make sure you stay tuned for all of them. I'm gonna count down from 8 to 1. I'm gonna give you how many people have left over the last few years. I'm gonna give you an idea of what it costs to live there and some reasons why people have been leaving these Seattle suburbs. So if you're thinking about moving to the Seattle area, or you're in the Seattle area and relocating to another suburb, make sure you watch the entirety of this one so you can figure out why so many people are leaving these specific suburbs. And of course, I am an active real estate agent over here, so if you are looking to buy a home, whether you're relocating over here or you're already local and you're looking to buy a home here, feel free to reach out. I would be more than happy to help. But let's start with number 8 on the list, and this is Renton. So Renton, of course, just located south of both Seattle and Bellevue. You might be surprised that Renton is on this list. Now, it's only number 8, it's not number 1, so not as many people leaving as some of these other cities, but there's a good amount of people that have left Renton. Now, over the last 4 years, it's had a population decrease of 2.7%. This is about 2,900 people that have left Renton in the last 4 years. The median home price here in Renton is $799,000. Currently on the market, the lowest priced home is about $440,000, and the highest priced home is about $3 million. So there's a good wide variety of homes here in the Renton area. What I've often found is when I have clients that are moving to Renton, they very often want to be on the east side in the East Renton Highlands. They find that those neighborhoods are a lot nicer and more suitable for their lifestyle. One reason that you might see people actually leaving Renton is the people that live on the west side of Renton, closer to downtown, because there's so much more hustle and bustle, there's more riffraff going on, and there's just more happening right there in the middle of Renton. Traffic can get really bad through here because of all of the commuters that are commuting up to Seattle and Bellevue for work. A lot of them are going through Renton on a daily basis, so this can start to drive some people away because of how bad the traffic is there. All right, now number 7 on our list is Kent. Now, of course, Kent is just south of Renton, just directly south, so a lot of the same reasons people leave Renton, people are leaving Kent. Now, over the last 4 years, it's had a drop in population by 3.14%, which is about 4,200 people that have left Kent. The median home price in Kent is $675,000. The lowest priced home right now is about $420,000, with the highest priced home being about $2.7 million right now. Again, a wide variety of homes here in the Kent area. There's not a ton of new construction that has happened over the years, but there's a little bit here and there. You often see people that are leaving Kent for a lot of the same reasons that I mentioned with Redmond. It's right along the highway here, so there is a little bit more riffraff that goes along here. There is a lot of traffic that goes through here. And you see a lot of people leave the Kent area that want to put their kids in a better school district. A place like Maple Valley is very popular for people to relocate to. All right, now number 6 on our list here is pretty surprising. It's Issaquah. Now, you probably wouldn't think that Issaquah would be on a list of the top Seattle suburbs where people are actually moving away from. It is pretty surprising. Issaquah is a very desirable area that a lot of people actually want to try and get into. Now, over the last 4 years, they've had a decrease in population by about 3.7%. This is just under 1,500 people that have left Issaquah. Now, the median home price here in Issaquah right now is about $1.5 million. With homes that are currently on the market, on the low end, you've got something around $950,000, and on the high end, there's a home available for $7.5 million. So there's a lot of options in between here in Issaquah. Now, if I were to guess on why people are leaving Issaquah, why it's had a drop in population, there's probably a few reasons. A big reason for that is likely the traffic getting all the way down to Issaquah. For those that are commuting to the east side, it is definitely a commutable location, but that commute has gotten worse over the years. You have to take I-90 out to Issaquah, and then depending how deep in Issaquah you're located, you might have quite a bit of a drive from the freeway exit out to your house. Issaquah has a lot of mountainous properties out on Cougar Mountain or Tiger Mountain that can take a while to get to from the exit on the freeway especially in rush hour. Another reason is just because it's so expensive. You know, median home prices being right around 1.5 million is tough for a lot of people to be able to manage. So sometimes what you see, especially in these expensive cities, is people will leave once their kids are done with school. They stayed in this city because they wanted the great school district, the great access to those schools, but once their kids are out of school and out of the house, they're going to a different location that they can get a lot more for their money and don't also have to worry about the traffic because maybe they're retired too and they don't have to deal with commuting all the time. Issaquah is still a very, very desirable area to be. You know, there's not a lot of new construction, which is another reason there's a lot of older homes here in Issaquah. Once you get to the Highlands, there's a lot more newer construction that has been built in the last decade, but a lot of Issaquah is older construction and there's just really not many new developments happening right now, so it's not drawing a ton of people in because of that. All right, number 5 on the list here is Monroe. Now, Monroe is the first one that we're looking at that's north of Seattle in Bellevue here. Over the last 4 years, they've had a decrease in population by about 3.8%. This is about 776 people. Now, in terms of the number of people that are leaving the city, I think this is the lowest one, the least amount that we have on this list, but it's still 3.8% of the population that has left over the last 4 years. The median home price here in Monroe is about $850,000. On the low end with active homes right now, you can find one like this for $520,000, and there's also one for about $2.1 million right now on the high end, and you've got everything in between. Now, if we're going to talk about reasons why people might be leaving Monroe, I think a big factor for that could be the traffic. There's a lot of people that moved into Monroe over the last decade, especially people that were working on the east side. Maybe they worked in Bellevue or Redmond at a place like Microsoft, and they would buy a home in Monroe because it was so much more affordable. They could get a much larger house and they could commute back and forth. That commute has gotten a lot worse over the last 5 years because so many people had that same idea. So now that commute that used to be not too bad has gotten pretty difficult for a lot of people. So that might be a reason why a lot of people have decided to move out of Monroe, is so they don't have to deal with that commute. And also those home prices. Those home prices used to be really affordable. Now, $850,000 in the grand scheme of things is relatively affordable around here when you look at a lot of the other cities, but it's not what it used to be. It's not as cheap as it used to be. So maybe that's driving less and less people to try and get into Monroe. All right, number 4 on the list here is Federal Way. Now, Federal Way is the furthest south location that we're going to talk about here on this video. Now, it's very similar to a location like Kent that we talked about previously. Over the last 4 years, they have lost 4.3% in population. This is about 4,300 people that have left Federal Way to move elsewhere. Now, this is not surprising to me whatsoever. The median home price in Federal Way right now is about $642,000. The lowest priced home currently on the market is about $465,000, and the highest priced about $2.2 million. Now, when we're talking about reasons why people have left, again, it's very similar to the Kent area. A lot of people are relocating because they want to put their kids in a better school district. They don't want to be in this general area. As you go directly south of Seattle, all along I-5 here in all of these cities, this is a common theme that there's more riffraff going on that people want to try and avoid. They want their kids in better school districts than this area offers, and they're willing to pay a little bit more money to be in a little bit nicer of a suburb. Now, one metric that I kind of like to use when determining the cleanliness of a city and how well certain things are treated in that city and neighborhoods as a whole is what the public restrooms are like in a lot of these grocery stores and how they're treated. Now, as somebody that drives around the Seattle metropolitan area on a daily basis all over the place, I have to go to the bathroom somewhere. So I often will stop into a grocery store, one of the larger grocery stores in all of these cities, and I'll use the restroom there in between when I'm meeting with clients. This is always a really interesting determining factor on what the rest of the city looks and feels like with what's happening inside of those grocery stores. In a lot of these cities, like a Federal Way, like a Kent that we've talked about here, you go into a grocery store and you need to use the restroom, You can't get into the restroom without a code or a key. This doesn't happen in every suburb around here, and the reason for this is because they're trying to deter people from going into the restrooms and doing things they shouldn't be doing, like using drugs. You can also tell by the cleanliness of the restroom. How much are they keeping up in cleaning that place and not letting it turn into a complete dump? A lot of these grocery stores around the Federal Way and Kent type of areas here, they're not going to feel like they will in a lot of the other suburbs. They are going to be locked up, that you're going to have to go find a key or a code to get into. And that's just a small tell to tell you kind of what's happening around these city centers in these cities directly south of Seattle along I-5. So just a little tidbit of information that I notice whenever I'm out in all of these cities that really is a tell on what that city is actually like living in. All right, number 3 on the list. This is another really surprising one, though there is reasons that I can explain, but this is a surprising one. It is Sammamish. Now, Sammamish, of course, is right next to Issaquah that we just talked about. Sammamish has lost about 4.6% in population in the last 4 years. This is about 3,100 people. Now, the median home price in Sammamish right now is a whopping $1.8 million. In terms of active homes on the market, the lowest priced is about $1 million, and the highest price is about $8 million. Now again, similar to Issaquah, pricing is an issue here, but even more so. I mean, Issaquah was about 1.5 median price, Sammamish 1.8. Now a big reason for that difference, that pretty large difference in median home prices between the two cities. One, Sammamish has a lot of view properties, a lot of waterfront properties because they do have the lake in there, Sammamish. So that drives up that really weighs up that median price point because there's a lot of luxury waterfront or water view homes. Now again, a big reason people will be leaving Sammamish is because of that price point. Now a lot of people are there because they want to take advantage of the great schools, they want a very nice city to live in, and they want something that's commutable to Bellevue or Redmond for work or something like that. Now again, when a lot of these people, they have kids that graduate from school, or when some of these people are retiring and they don't have to commute to work every day, they often will go somewhere that's maybe a little bit more relaxed, maybe a little bit less hustle and bustle, and that's more affordable. Now, again, Sammamish is a fantastic city. This is not like what you're talking about with the Federal Ways and the Kents that we've talked about earlier on this list. It's a completely different feeling. Sammamish has consistently been rated one of the top small cities in the entire United States. It's a fantastic place to live, especially for families when you have access to the lake and the great schools and all of that stuff. It's a very nice place. But that price point is very difficult for a lot of people, and there's not a lot of new construction that's going on. There is a lot of one-off new builds that happen, but there's not big sprawling communities of new homes in the Sammamish area. All right, number 2 on this list is Auburn. Now Auburn is similar location to some of these other places like Kent and Federal Way that we've talked about. In the last 4 years, they've lost 4.8% of their population. This is about 4,200 people that have left Auburn in the last 4 years. The median home price in Auburn is about $635,000. On the low end for active homes right now, you can find something for about $415,000. On the high end, something as high as about $3 million. Now again, all these reasons of why people are leaving Auburn are going to be about the same as what we talked about with Federal Way and Kent. People want to get away from being directly south of I-5 and all the riffraff and extra stuff that goes on around there. Again, this is the grocery store phenomenon that I'm talking about that gives you a tell into that city. Not to say there aren't nice places in any of these cities. There are certainly nice neighborhoods in every one of these cities, and there are people that live here and end up enjoying it. But on average, as a whole, especially with all the people that I'm helping relocate over here to the Seattle area that are coming here from out of state, they come over, they do their visit, they check out all these different suburbs and all these different places. Very rarely do I have somebody that says, okay, Federal Way, Kent, Auburn, this is where I want to be. Usually they're putting their focus on different locations, and these are the reasons why that I've talked about. Again, somebody that might be wanting to go to a different school district is somebody that can often leave Auburn as well. All right, the last one on the list, this one is also surprising, though has a very valid reason. This is Mercer Island. Now, Mercer Island, of course, located right in between Seattle and Bellevue, right on its own little island. Over the last 4 years, they've lost about 5.2% of their population. This is about 1,200 people. It's a smaller community, so 5.2% isn't going to translate to a massive number like some of the other cities would. But still, 5.2%, 1,200 people leaving Mercer Island is a good chunk, and it's the largest percentage of any suburb in the Seattle area. Now, the median home price in Mercer Island is pricey. It's $2.3 million right now. On the low end with active homes, you can find something for about $1.06 million, and on the high end as high as $24 million. Now again, similar to how we've talked about Sammamish and Issaquah, this is an issue with pricing. That's one of the big issues, but this is a very, very pleasant place to live when you are right on Mercer Island and you are in your home, you're in the neighborhoods, you're going to all this stuff in and around Mercer Island. It is a very nice and beautiful place to live. Now, the problem comes with really two different things here on Mercer Island. One is the price, $2.3 million. Most people can't afford that. And so it becomes a lot more difficult, or just even people that can't afford it, they might not want to pay that much and might want to go to another city that's also very nice where they can get a lot more for their money. Now, the second reason is the location and the traffic that comes along with it. Now, this might be the worst location for traffic on this list. A lot of them are pretty bad, but this one is definitely bad. Again, it's located right in between Seattle and Bellevue. It's right along the I-90 bridge. The I-90 bridge is a main, thoroughfare. It's your main way to get from Bellevue to Seattle. The amount of people that make that commute on a daily basis for work and whatnot, there's a lot of cars, and it can be pretty frustrating dealing with this traffic on a daily basis. And when you're on Mercer Island, there's really no escaping it. If you stay on the island and you're just going out and about on Mercer Island, probably not too bad at all times. But anytime you go on and off, you're dealing with a lot of traffic, and so that's a big deterrent as well for people. All right, well, that wraps it up. These are the top 8 Seattle suburbs that have the most people, vacating and leaving and going to a different area. So, like I said, if you are relocating over here and you need some help with that process on finding where the right place is for you to live and to buy a home, feel free to reach out. I would be more than happy to assist you with that. And same can be said for those of you that live here already and you're looking to buy or sell real estate in this area. Would be more than happy to help you. Thanks for watching this one.